I'm Javier Hakeem, and this is Harking Back, a podcast about the pop culture of a lifetime. Whose life? Mine. I'm going back through every year I've been alive and finding out what was going on in that year. This week we are looking at 1998. I am 15. I am 15 in 1998. A time for a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts that year. Oh, goodness me. This is my third year of high school in 98, and I know it's not a popular thing to say, but I really enjoyed this year of high school. Like, I think, after a couple of years of social awkwardness and getting my head around things, I really loved it. I loved moving around throughout the day and having your own class schedule and kind of moving around, like the hustle and bustle of moving between classes and stuff and seeing people say, hey, yeah, catch you later. I loved it. It felt more kind of like you were in charge of your life a bit more. You chose more of your own classes this year than in previous years. And also, because you're moving around and doing lots of different classes with different people, I made a lot of new friends, and I think this is my high school hack, all right, to kind of like navigate high school, or this is the way I did it. Rather than kind of like committing to one demographic, or social subgroup, what I did is I kind of made a friend. I ended up doing this. I didn't do this purposely, not like Machiavelli. I wasn't smart enough by any stretch. But looking back, I'm like, oh shit, I think this is actually what happened without me realizing. I managed to make a friend in each subgroup, right? And so that way you kind of had a little connection or a way in to everyone. Like I had a friend with the nerdy group. No, where am I? I was the nerdy group. I had a friend with the music nerds. I had, I had a friend who was with the sporty guys. I had a friend who was with the bad boys, the ones that were always smoking weed and getting into trouble and stuff. I had a friend with the emos. I had a friend with the popular group and the good students, like just kind of in every group, I managed to have like one friend that if they saw me, I could be like, that's your buy-in friend. So if the whole group's looking at you, could you just look over and go, oh, hey, Richard, what's going on? And then Richard says hi to me, and then suddenly they're like, oh, that's Richard likes him, so he's cool, he's fine, right? I've just realized this is my, what do I call this? The spiderweb hack, where you kind of branch out and just make sure you have a little string connected to each group. Anyway, take it or leave it. I don't know if this would work in today's tumultuous world of high school. Every time I see teenagers walking in packs together from a high school, they just look terrifying. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, please just leave me alone. And I can just kind of feel them judging me and saying things about me. Like, look at his eyebrows. Or I don't know, something like that. Also, when I'm 15, I have my first like serious girlfriend. Like we were really, guys, I was 15 and I was in love. And it was really serious, guys, because I was 15 and I knew what love was. And I think it's this real intense teenage love. And I don't really know if you get this again, because it's at that age, you're old enough now to not be super awkward. Like we know when you were like 11 and you're like, oh, can I be around a girl? Can I hold hands? And like, maybe even kiss them. But at 15, you can kind of like lie there together and just be with someone, and you just feel this intensity. And also you're young enough to probably have not had this before, so it feels like it burns with the fire of 1,000 suns. But however, you are still young enough to also be hopelessly naive. And no wonder you're like, the first time that someone, you drop the L-bomb, you say, I love you, and they say, I love you back. You're just like, oh my God, this is it. I found the person. I've solved the riddle at 15. It's all good, guys, But looking back, I'm like, I absolutely felt that way. And I think she did too. Anyway, what I'm saying is teenage relationships, when they work like this, I think they seem so intense because you've not experienced anything like this before. And you're 15, you're like, yeah, I think I've experienced most things, and no, you haven't. Later that year, she cheated on me, which was not fun, which was really not fun. We got back together because I'm an idiot. But from that moment, it's always made me take a second look at guys, especially around any guy that's around a girl I'm with. Not like, you know what? No, fine, I will admit it. I think I'm a little jealous. Not to the point of ever being controlling, or you can't see them, or you can't do this. like, but just enough to kind of like always have a little eye on guys that are like overly friendly, and you know what it's like. Um, like another girl. So I got cheated on by this girl. Another girlfriend I had. She had a friend, and I was always like, he is into you. And she was always, oh no, he's just a friend. He's just a friend. And the second we broke up, this guy made a move on her. Like, the body was still warm. Is that a terrible analogy? You know what I mean. Another girlfriend, we were going out on a double date, right? With one of her friends and her friend's boyfriend. And while me and her friend were away in like the toilet or getting drinks or something, this guy says to my girlfriend, I actually would rather be with you. While I'm still there. I'm in the other fucking room. I'm just gone to the toilet. And he's going, I wish I was with you. Like, men are the fucking worst, man. We are just... we're just the worst. So yeah, ever since that day, I got like a little bit like, yeah, guys, we, I don't know. Was it wrong for me to be more jealous about guys when it was my girlfriend who cheated on me? Anyway, I just know that was a time that was not fun. Yeah. You know what? It was actually the first time, when people always talk about like, I felt it in my heart, I felt this in my heart. It was the first time I'd actually felt like a deep pain in my chest. I wouldn't go as far as to say like, it's my heart, I feel it in my heart. But I remember, because I actually saw it happen as well. So I remember seeing it, it just very much felt like someone reached into your chest and just was squeezing all the important things in there and just go, I can't breathe so well. Also this year, I punched a teacher. I'm going to save that story till the end, okay? And it sounds bad that I punched a teacher, but you be the judge at the end. I'm going to save that till the end. Okay, let's listen. Yes, yeah, just leave that dangling there. What happens in 1998? I couldn't find a lot, actually, in terms of pop culture. I'm sure there was things that happened, but my usual sources, nothing was really jumping out that much. Things like Elton John is knighted by the Queen, which would have been a bit weird. Like the Queen. If you don't know about the UK and the Queen and Diana, there is a conspiracy theory in the UK that the Queen was furious with Diana for sullying the royal name by divorcing Charles and admitting that, that Charles and Camilla had just coming out and being the stain. And, there was a conspiracy theory that the Queen, the conspiracy theory was that the Queen had Diana killed. And I don't buy this for a second, but it's it's a kind of like ongoing, like almost jokey kind of thing. And I think Elton John being knighted by the Queen after he just the year before written a song for Diana, the Candle in the Wind, while she's there with the knife right next to his neck going, oh yeah, that was a nice song. I like that. Was it about Diana, was it? Oh yeah, let's go for a little ride. To paint the picture for you of 1998, what is going on, maybe in things you remember, like the TV shows that are coming out around this time. Celebrity Deathmatch comes out. Oh my God, on MTV. I loved Celebrity Deathmatch. I wish they would remake it. It was a claymation, a wrestling kind of fighting show where they just make these little claymation puppets out of celebrities and put them against each other, like the Beastie Boys versus the Backstreet Boys and stuff like that. It was so funny. It was really, really funny. Just check it out. I'm sure you can find episodes or clips on YouTube. Like the pastiche and satire here is just top notch. And it was claymation, so they get to have like hilariously cartoonish violence without it being too much, but also at the same time incredibly grotesque. It's so much fun. Sex and the City comes out, that program that was hugely popular, a show about 4 women living in New York City and the trials and tribulations of their lives. And it turns out years later that Kim Cattrall, 2 of the stars, Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker, could not stand each other. So in true Groups of Women fashion, 2 of them hated each other all along. What else comes out? Charmed comes out in 1998, which was Sexy Witches. I remember it was like seeing the ads for this over and over again, and it was just 3 actresses who were very, very big at that point. Was it Shannon Doherty and Rose McGowan? I don't know. And Rose, God, should have done some research on this. I'm just purely going on gut. Basically, it was Sexy Witches. All right, so way before Twilight, in 1998, we had Sexy Witches, and it was called Charmed. We also had Dawson's Creek, which was Sexy Teenagers. Like the Trial of Tribulation. That sounds really horrible from me as a 42-year-old man now, but the program was about, young people, young teenagers, and they had relationships. It happened, okay? That 70s show comes out in 98. By the same logic, we should have a show called The Naughties Show, right? Actually, they did try to do with that 90s show and apparently just flopped hard because everyone just seems to look back at the 90s with just way too much cringe. Like, they can't even make it a beautiful nostalgia. Like, the 90s, if you just think about it, it was denim and far too much hair product. And that's exactly what I enveloped. To this day, really, to this day. The Powerpuff Girls comes out in 98. I can't wait to show my daughter the Powerpuff Girls because it was one of those Cartoon Networks. When Cartoon Network started making their own cartoons, and this is around the kind of time that things like Johnny Bravo and Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls comes out. And the Powerpuff Girls is just, the animation is super slick, the dialogue is concise, and it's just very stylized. It looks very simple, but everything's done very bold. If you were comparing it to like a painter or an artist, you'd be like, oh, this is bold, confident strokes in the animation here. They had a villain on there who was just so ahead of his time. The villain was essentially Satan, but if Satan identified as a drag queen, he had lobster claws for hands, and it was absolutely Satan. Had a goatee, but wore thigh-high boots with fishnet stockings, and had a feather boa as well, and talked really effeminately. And I loved that their name was just him. They didn't have a name. They would just always call it, it's him or him. So his name was just a pronoun. So ahead of its time. Beautiful. Let's look at the songs that came out in 98. Huge song in 98 was All My Life, I Pray for Someone Like You by Casey and JoJo. It was All My Life. I remember hearing this, and a bit like that All For One, I swear, it's just a bit too needy. I bet you this song would have been played at weddings around the globe this year because it was just, it's a love song, but it just lacks any sort of nuance or, it's far too, pump the brakes, guys. It's far too needy. Just a little bit. If you saw two people dancing to this and embracing, you wouldn't think this is lovely. You'd think, get a room and get out of here. Other big songs in 98, I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole, which was the theme to Dawson's Creek. If you don't remember how it goes, you would remember it because you would have heard the ads. Remember it went, I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. That one. It's that one. And now I probably, for some of you, triggered a memory that's been latent in your brains, where that song has just been hanging there, waiting to come out and ambush you. This is the year of very soppy, sympathetic hits, I guess. My Heart Will Go On from Titanic. Just one of the, the song. And this song made Celine Dion an international superstar. I'm sure she had an amazing career before this, but this song makes her a household name around the globe because of the movie. But you know what? It's now also her curse, because the second she would have seen this become an international hit, she would have seen this and just gone, well, I have to sing this at the end of every concert I do until I retire. I wonder if she still likes it or she resents it. Because people, you get that one thing that you do, that some people get known for. It's when Bart says, I didn't do it, and everyone's like, just say it, say the thing. Celine Dion, sing the song. I remember one Freshers Week, we called it O Week, Orientation Week at university. We had that Swedish band, Bomb Funk MCs, and their song was, they were like a one-hit wonder, and their song was Freestyler. Do you remember that? Freestyler, rock the microphone, that one. And the whole time they're playing, everyone's just yelling at them, just play Freestyler. And they're like, we got other songs, and they're playing other songs, and while they're playing other songs, everyone's just going, just play Freestyler so we can go home. Just the curse of having one piece of your repertoire become incredibly popular to the detriment of all the rest of your back catalogue. And at the end, they were like, okay, we're going to play Freestyler. And they played it. And I think they had a bit more time. And they just went, do you want us to play it again? And we were like, yes, fucking play it again. What else comes out? Everybody by Backstreet Boys. Everybody. A song you know what? I secretly loved the Backstreet Boys in high school. Now I openly love them. But this is one of the songs that I never really got hugely into. Again, maybe it was overplayed. Hey, a little blast from the past. Getting Jiggy With It by Will Smith. Hey kids, I don't know if you know this, but there was a time when Will Smith, before slapping awards hosts, had a pretty successful music career. I mean, he had this song called Getting Jiggy With It, and to this day, nobody knows what getting jiggy means, especially in Christchurch, New Zealand, let me tell you, where we welcomed it. Like all these Christchurch, New Zealand people going, getting jiggy with it. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. We had no idea. But there was a time. Do you remember when Will Smith was, if he was in a movie, he'd sing a song to go with that movie. Like when he was in Men in Black, he did a song called Men in Black. When he was in Wild Wild West, he did a song called Wild Wild West. When he did a movie called Hitch, everyone thought he'd do a song called Hitch, but he evolved himself and surprised us all with a song instead called Switch. You got us, Will. I wish studios still kept that with their Will Smith contracts. Like if they're thinking, you know what, if we cast Will Smith, we'll get a song too. I wish that was still written in his contracts. Like every time he get cast, they'd be like, okay, where's our song? Like when he did that movie Concussion about the African doctor, the guy that studied head trauma in American football, and he put on that like Nigerian accent, I want to say. Just like Will Smith. This one's called Headbang, and it's going out to all my people out there with chronic head trauma. Let me hear you. Also 98, a song comes out called Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. Those two words, by the way, I'm very aware that both the name of the song and the band, Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, sound like ChatGPT having a stroke. But this song was huge. You know, and dwarfed. It's as huge as it was annoying. Not since the likes of the Macarena had a song been so well known and so vehemently hated by everyone, apart from drunk people. Like it was a real, you know what? It was loved by drunks and anyone drinking, and hated by anyone else watching these drunks singing this. The band had 8 members, 8, count them, 8 members. I swear one guy, his job was, he played the megaphone. That's his job in the band. Can you imagine 8 members in a band? Getting everyone to a rehearsal would have been a nightmare. Try getting 8 people together now. If you've got 8 friends, I don't have... Who's got 8 friends now? Try getting 8 friends together for one thing. And imagine trying to do that every week. And also, 8 members in a band, that's too many. 8 members in a band is enough that if one is missing, you won't notice them. All right, let's have a look at the top 5 songs from 98. This is according to Billboard. Number 5, How Do I Live by Leanne Rimes. This is the song from Con Air. My wife loves this song. Again, really soppy, overly romantic songs. At number 4, and I can't believe I said that, I'm going to eat my own words right now, because at number 4 was Truly Madly Deeply by Savage Garden. Maybe the soppiest love song to ever come out. But I love it because that serious girlfriend I had, this was our song. Like, we bought the single. I think I bought it for her. I can't, maybe anyway, so we would just lie in her bed, like, because when she came around to my house, we were not allowed in my room. Because my parents were like, you're going to make a baby. You're teenagers. You're not allowed in the room. But when we went to her house, we were allowed in her room, and we were allowed to close the door. Idiots! But we would just kind of like, you just lie there and make out because you're 15. And we would play this song over and over. So we'd make out for a bit and play the song and like listen to the song as we looked into the other's eyes. And the lyrics for this song are so... Like, go and listen. They're clearly written for teenagers. They were written for us. That's why we love this song. It's written for teenagers experiencing being in love for the first time because the lyrics are so over the top, almost to the point of parody. Like, let me give you an example. One of the lyrics is, "And when the stars are shining brightly in the velvet sky, I'll make a wish, send it to heaven, and make you want to cry." And no, I didn't have to Google that. I still remember those lyrics. That's the shameful part, you know? Because we were adults, guys, and we were having these feelings, and the song spoke to us. If you have not experienced Truly Madly Deeply, go listen, please, I beg you, go and listen to Truly Madly Deeply by Savage Garden and see how much of it you can get through without groaning, okay? It still holds a place in my heart. It really does. I'm going to listen to it straight after I record this podcast. Number 3, You're Still the One by Shania Twain. Oh, my wife and I went to Shania Twain. She came to London a little while ago, and we went to go see her. And Shania, we love you. We love your songs. We love your songs. Your in-between song banter, not so much. I don't know if she was on meds or something. She just seemed, or just hammered. Like, she was just kind of like, "Hey, how's everyone doing? You know, we love country songs. And this one, I wrote," like, every time she started a sentence, the crowd was just all collectively praying, "Please make this make sense. And please let this be the last sentence before you just start singing another song." Like, she said she had a cold, and in between some songs, you could see her go down and have a little sippy cup of something. I'm guessing it was lemon and honey. It might have been something else. And in retrospect, I think, looking back, it was definitely alcohol. And number 2, The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica. They were huge. What happened to them? You remember that? The Boy Is Mine. So the number 2 and the number 1 spots are taken over by R&B songs, because number 1 is Too Close by Next. If you don't remember this song, well done you, because it is one of the most generic lyrics in a song I think I've heard. And also, I swear, one of the members of this band, their job is just to be the hype man in the song. Like, someone will sing something, and, you know, the other guy comes in and goes, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. You know, the hype man. If I was ever going to be in a musical group, I think I would that's the only way I'm going to get in. Like, I can't play an instrument well enough. I can't sing. But I could hype. I would like to do that. And I'd like to be a hype man where there's not supposed to be a hype man. That's what I'd love to do. Like, for an orchestra or something. So, like, you know, someone's on the violin and I'm just there like, "Yeah, strings. But listen to this. I did have to Google the lyrics too, because I listened to the chorus because I couldn't remember the song. I was like, what song was that? So I went and listened to it. Oh, God. "Baby, when we're grinding, I get so excited. Ooh, how I like it. I try, but I can't fight it. You're dancing real close. Plus, it's real slow. You're making it hard for me." See, he's saying, "You're making it hard for me." But what he's really talking about is his erection. Layers, people. All right, let's look at the movies of 1998. This is where the scope of movies is starting to become a little bit more varied, let's say. You got some nice things, and just, anyway, let's have a look at what comes out in 98. Things like Mulan. I didn't see Mulan. I didn't see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Disney is trying to, like, hold on to their renaissance, but they haven't made like an Aladdin / Lion King / Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid magnitude hit in a long time. I do like that they kind of went to, like, hey, what if we told an Asian story, and went with Mulan. But I mean, I saw it late. It's fine. It's a good movie. It's fine. It just doesn't have the same charm, or I don't know. Maybe I was growing up too much. I was 15 and maybe not into animated Disney movies, even though I would definitely return to them. Believe you that. Shakespeare in Love comes out in 1998, which is really fun. Really, really fun. By the way, my love for Shakespeare peaks around this time, because with this girlfriend, one of the first movies we saw was Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, and after that I was like, I've got to go back and read all of Romeo and Juliet, and I started trying to read Shakespeare again, and really, really trying and telling myself, I think I get what's going on, but I don't think I did. So I loved Shakespeare in Love, because I was like, oh, it's about Shakespeare, and Joseph Fiennes is great in this, but he really kind of disappeared. For a while it looked like he was in this, and he was in Enemy at the Gates, about Stalingrad. And it kind of looked like he was going to be like, oh, we're going to be seeing him on our screens a lot, and just no. The Truman Show comes out in 98, which is directed by Peter Weir, the same guy that did Dead Poets Society. And this is a great film, and it's great to see Jim Carrey starting to kind of... You could tell he's like, didn't just want to be funny in this movie. He was like, I want to tell a story that's a bit deeper. And you know, The Truman Show is one of those first going from comedic to breakout roles, you know, sort of dramatic roles. Like, you know, when like Adam Sandler does something surprisingly deep and you're like, where the hell did this come from? More of that, please. The Mask of Zorro comes out, which is just fantastic. It just hits beautifully. Like to do like a reboot of a legend character like Zorro. And you get Antonio Banderas when he's just at the height of his charm. Catherine Zeta-Jones is perfect in it. Anthony Hopkins plays an amazing mentor. And he passes down the mantle from Zorro to... That's great! It's so good. The action is fantastic. The story's really good. The performances are great. This is one of the movies of the year. And also, my dad made a really good point. He was like, Zorro, he might have been the first quote-unquote superhero. You know, like this guise of like, no one knows who Zorro is, and he wears a mask, and he's got a secret identity. And I was like, holy shit, I think he's right. Life is Beautiful comes out in 98. That Roberto Benigni's Italian story of his son and him going to a concentration camp, which, you know, beautiful. But I remember this movie came out and everyone was saying, you've got to watch this. You've got to watch this. You've got to watch this. And I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I did have to watch this. I did have to watch this. It's so good. And again, Roberto Benigni, he's top of the world. He wins Best Actor for his role in Life is Beautiful. He famously like stands up on the seats, is jumping around, hugging everyone at the Oscars. And everyone was like, this guy's top of the world. He's brought Italian cinema back into the forefront. He's nailed it with this movie. Everyone loves him. He's infinitely charming. And then the next movie he makes is Pinocchio, where he plays Pinocchio, and everyone just went, you fucked it. You fucked it. It's so bad. That is the crash, my friends. That is the crash. Like, don't, stay humble. I think in his mind, he just thought, I am untouchable, maybe. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he worked really hard on it, but just, it is sad that he went from like this incredible Oscar-winning performance that is critically and commercially, loved by critics and audiences alike, and then to just have this absolute crash. Rush Hour comes out in 98, which was one of Jackie Chan's, I think he finally cracked the US market with this, because it was actually a very popular movie. Teaming up with Chris Tucker in this, I think really helped. People liked it, it became a franchise. They made 3 of them. Because Jackie Chan had tried to crack the US market several times. There was one, The Big Brawl in like the 80s. He tried to do that. And then he came back with another one in the late 80s called The Protector, which was, they gave him like too many guns. And he was like, I'm martial arts. And like, no, you need guns if you're going to be on here. Like, the poster for the movie of The Protector has Jackie Chan with the minigun. And you're like, what is he doing with the minigun? He's Jackie Chan. The minigun should be scared of him. And then Rumble on the Bronx in 95, which was... got a toe in the door. Got a toe. But Rush Hour is where he really kind of... Hollywood really embraces him with Rush Hour. And it's fun, and I remember watching it and being very excited that he was getting a Hollywood movie. There was definitely not enough Jackie Chan action in it for me, but just enough for people to go, oh, this guy's kind of different. The Big Lebowski comes out in 98, which all my friends love. I watched it. I can see why they love it. I don't love it. Love it. It's got some memorable quotes and funny characters, but like I don't ever sit down and go like, I want to watch The Big Lebowski again. Yeah, I can hear some of you going, shame on you. But you know what? The Big Lebowski fans, are you just liking it because it's cool to like The Big Lebowski rather than it's actually an amazing movie? It's not an amazing movie, is it? I don't know. Maybe I was just a little... I'm getting this residual, like, all my friends loving it and me sitting there going, okay. Blade comes out in 98. By the way, remember when Black Panther came out in like 2018? And they said, Black Panther is the first black-led superhero movie. And everyone said, Blade. Blade came out in 98. And it was really good. It was good. It was R18. They took risks with it. They chose a character that no one really new at all. And you know what? Blade walked so that the MCU could run. And if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm not going to say anything, but I might have already spoiled something. Oh, come on. If you were a fan, you would have already seen Deadpool and Wolverine. All right, let's look at the top 5 movies that come out in 1998. At number 5 is A Bug's Life. And this is the same year where Ants comes out. So the Pixar movie A Bug's Life comes out about insects, and a movie called Ants comes out, also about insects, specifically ants. This is around that time where there's lots of movies that come out that are kind of similar, but basically the same movie, but made by different companies, like Dante's Peak and Inferno. There was also like Finding Nemo and A Shark's Tale, but I know that's further off. But there will be more examples of this, I bet you. Number 4, There's Something About Mary. Oh my God, I went to see this at the cinema, and the cinema was full, and everyone laughed their asses off, and it was one of the most fun cinema experiences I've had. Just being in there's nothing like being in a crowd, whether you're at a comedy show or a movie, and everyone is into it, everyone is laughing, everyone is having a great time, and I don't know if you could do this with comedies anymore, because some of the jokes and There's Something About Mary, just people these days would probably have problems with them, but no one in the 90s, either we weren't aware or no one could even smell any malice coming out of the jokes there. Like, you could tell that the point of a joke in a movie at that time was made to make people laugh, and maybe some of the things we didn't even think that they would have tried to make people laugh at the expense of anyone else, if you know what I mean. But maybe that's just my generation, but I don't know. I just saw comedy before anything else. And maybe that's problematic these days. I don't know. But all I'm saying is we had this full theater of people laughing, and I don't think that would happen these days, because at least some people would get offended by something. And you know what? If you're the kind of person that gets offended by something, you're not allowed to laugh at any other thing. Like, if you find some reason to make something not funny because it's connected to you or something, every other joke you hear would be connected to someone. I bet you could make it, because if you've heard tenuous things, someone tells a story about, I'm going to this, I don't know. Something happens to them, and someone will be like, actually, my sister's friend actually had that happen to them, so I don't really find that funny. You can always find connections to things, okay? So if you're one of these people that just sits there and waits to get offended by something, you're not allowed to enjoy anything, okay? Because if that's, you know what I'm saying? If that's your benchmark, then you're kind of invalidated on a lot of other things. I have explained this terribly, but I think you know what I mean. Anyway, let's move on. At number 3 is Godzilla. Ugh. Remember how they took a legacy character like Zorro and made it awesome? They took a legacy character, Hollywood took a legacy character with Godzilla and just tried to make it Jurassic Park. That was the problem with Godzilla. Godzilla works because he's huge and imposing. There's a great movie I don't know if it's great or not, but a movie everyone's been talking about, which is Godzilla -1, which is a Japanese Godzilla movie that came out this year or the year before. And it's got a tiny budget, and everyone says it's the best Godzilla movie in a long time because it's done by people that know what Godzilla is. And this particular interpretation tried to be Jurassic Park. And no. You're not going to beat Spielberg at his own game. At number 2, Saving Private Ryan. This was so visceral and horrifying and amazing. I mean, it was always going to be amazing because you're teaming up Hanks and Spielberg and you're introducing Matt Damon. Oh, there's a really bad bit where at the end of the movie where they're fighting in a close quarters fighting. Some points it's hand to hand. And there's a soldier having a breakdown because he's in the middle of a war zone and he's young and he's having a breakdown. His body is shutting down because it's a fucking war, understandably. And in the room next to him, one of his soldier buddies is in a fight with the Nazi. And the Nazi, it's hand to hand and it's getting ugly and they're down to bayonets. And the Nazi slowly pushes a knife into this guy's chest. And the guy having the breakdown can hear the screams and everything coming from the next room. And the people in the cinema were booing this soldier having a breakdown. Like, get in there and fight. And looking back, it's like, yeah, he's just shell-shocked, guys. He ain't doing shit. But it was just really, I think it was the first time I've ever seen an audience boo at a movie. Go figure. And number one, Armageddon. I mean, the plot of this movie, if you don't know, how could you not? But the plot of this movie is there is a giant asteroid headed towards Earth, and NASA decide to send a team of oil drillers up there in rockets and drill a hole in it and put a nuke in it. And this movie, I rewatched it a couple of years ago. It is just very hard to watch. It's not a pleasant watch because if something goes wrong at every stage of this plan, and you will know things are going wrong because explosions. So many explosions, so many people yelling and screaming, and so much shaky cam goes on in this movie. It's actually very hard to watch on a second time round or a recent viewing. And also, there's also when things go well. Yeah, and you'll know things are going to go well. You know things are going bad because there's an explosion. You'll know things are going well when there's an American flag on the screen, right? In the corner or behind people. Or sometimes the entire screen will just be an American flag. And that's just a little like, hey, shh, it's okay, America. Like Independence Day, this movie is about a global threat, and no other country has come up with anything to save the planet, and they're just desperately looking to America to save them. Yeah, again, that's just, China didn't come up with anything. Russia didn't come up with anything. Anyone else with like space capabilities came up with nothing. Yeah, I would have loved it if they were kind of going up there, and then there was a Chinese team going like, "Hey, we got it. We're all over it. We didn't have to hire roughnecks. We're fine." Also, yeah, so I was talking about before movies that come out. So Armageddon, Deep Impact, both about asteroids that are coming to hit the Earth. And Deep Impact, much better. I mean, Morgan Freeman's the president in Deep Impact. How could you not like that? You know, one thing that annoyed me about Armageddon, there's a scene where they land on the asteroid and they get out there, and on one of the pieces of equipment, Rockhound, played by Steve Buscemi, he finds a minigun just in their equipment. Like there's a thing that's got a minigun on it, and he starts playing around with it, and he starts like accidentally letting off rounds until someone tackles him because he's got the space madness. And later on, when they look like they're not going to hit their target, and the Colonel Shepard is communicating with Houston, and they tell him like execute protocol whatever, which is just blow up the bomb, and he pulls out a pistol and points it at Harry and says, "We're doing this." And Chick, another one of the roughnecks, looks at him and goes, "What are you doing with a gun in space?" Kind of like, why would you need to have a gun in space? What was it? You're always planning this? Like, it was just betrayal, and it all stemmed from the surprise of like, what are you doing with a gun in space? I was like, mate, did you not notice that just 15 minutes ago one of your guys was playing with a minigun out by the dig site? Did you just forget that? Anyway, that always bothered me in Armageddon. Let's look at the video games that came out in 98. Half-Life comes out in 98. This is a classic amongst PC gamers. I never played it until recently. I played the remake, Black Mesa, and it's very fun. It's very fun. I could see why in 98 people would have been saying, this is so ahead of its time. It's amazing. It's so groundbreaking. I did find the last quarter of the game a little repetitive, though, I will say. In 98, Star Wars Rogue Squadron comes out, and goddamn, I said I didn't like flying games in the previous podcast, but this was different. This wasn't a cockpit simulator. This was fun. It felt like an arcade Star Wars fly. It was fun flying these Star Wars ships, and I loved it so much. I 100% completed it. And no one told me, and it was a beautiful surprise that when you 100% completed this game, where you fly as like a Y-wing on one mission, and an X-wing in the other mission, and a snow speeder in another mission. It was called a change. When you 100% complete it, you unlock the Millennium Falcon. And when it unlocked, I remember just like sitting in my chair, just squealing, and I was like, "This is what's happening for the rest of my weekend." You know? Sorry, girlfriend, I can't see you. I can't come and listen to our song lying on your bed and make out. I have got games to play. You know, cancel the rest of my meetings. I'm going to be flying the Millennium Falcon. Let's look at the top 5 video games. This is according to Wikipedia. At number 5, Tekken 3. Oh man, I remember Tekken was huge. But so when Tekken 3 came out, everyone was waiting for it. And I remember this arcade machine, because it first came out in arcade, released down at my local video village, which is a kind of blockbuster to you folks from outside New Zealand. And we all crowded around to see the latest release of our new fighting franchise game. And I remember someone put in $1, and we just all were glued. Like the guy could barely move the stick. We were all crowding around it so much to see it. Oh, it was amazing. At number 4, Gran Turismo. Again, a lot of my friends liked this one. I never really got into driving or racing games, but I know this was huge because they made real cars. Oh my God, remember there was a time where the Nissan Skyline was just the car every boy wanted. However, everyone I knew with a Nissan Skyline was a dick. Number 3, that's a huge generalization, but it was true when I was in high school. I wanted one. But I remember one time I had to shave my head for a play. I'll talk about that when I get there. But I had to shave my head for a play, so I wore a baseball cap for a little while, and I just bought a new jacket that Annie really liked. And it was kind of like a bit more kind of like a leather, that kind of faux leathery kind of, it looked like a racing jacket. And I turned up to a party with my cap that I never wore caps and this jacket. And one of my friends goes, "Hey mate, where'd you park your Skyline?" Oh, that was a good burn. It was a good burn. Number 3, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I've got a confession. I've never played a Zelda game. I know they're considered masterpiece, and I do know that I quite like as well that for every console Nintendo's put out, they have made a Zelda game for it, and each one of their respective consoles has been considered a masterpiece. Like Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time and the SNES one. Like each Zelda games, I know they're good, but I don't know why I've never been drawn to them. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've seen other people. I don't know. It's because I've never had a Nintendo, and it's just I know I'd have to either borrow one or buy one, and it just seems like it's too much. Number 2 is Resident Evil 2. I didn't play the original. I played the remake, and it was fantastic. There's this guy called Mr. X that follows you around this creepy, abandoned zombie apocalypse horror game, horror survival. And there's this one guy who's nigh on invulnerable. Like, you can stun him, but you can't kill him. And he just wanders around randomly. And if he sees you, he starts chasing you. And it's terrifying. Like, I haven't felt this scared in a long time. Because also I don't like horror games, but this one I made an exception for. And I remember I see him, and I run away, and I ran down a corridor, and I chose a random room, and I hid in it, and you could hear his footsteps. And I felt like a victim who's about to be killed in a horror movie, just sitting there going, please don't come here. Please don't come in here. Oh my God. And he did come in there, and I shat my pants and died. Number one in 98 for video games, Pokemon / Red, Green, Blue. I know Pokemon was killing it. I was just too old for Pokemon, I think. I just missed the boat on that, and I'm really glad I did, because there are so many Pokemon. I think when they came out originally, there was about maybe 100 Pokemon. When they, it was, you got to get them all, collect them all, 100 of them, 100. Right? There are 4 Ninja Turtles, very manageable. Plus maybe some accessory figures, by accessory I mean side figures like Splinter and April, but 100 Pokemon. God damn, what a merch money pit. And that was then. Like these days, I don't know, they're up to 1,000, I don't know. Okay, Times Person of the Year in 98 is Bill Clinton, and it's shared. It's 2 people. It's Bill Clinton and Ken Starr. Who's Ken Starr? Ken Starr was the lawyer who was investigating the Clinton administration around the time of the Lewinsky scandal. So the Times really throws the cat amongst the pigeons by awarding the 2 people, a public figure and the lawyer investigating that person. It would be like if they awarded it to Kingpin and Daredevil. And the more I think about that comparison, the more I'm happy with it, because it fits, because Daredevil's actually a lawyer. Right, let's talk about how I punched a teacher. Okay. I remember this because 5th form was the last year you had to take music as a compulsory subject, right? And we had a music teacher, and we liked him a lot, Mr. Stevenson. He was great. Always enjoyed music classes. However, one for a month we did a crossover with another music class. So we changed music teachers, and there was this other guy. I'm just gonna call him Mr. K. All right, Mr. K. That's what I'm going to call him. Now, Mr. K was known for being a bit of, I didn't know this, but he was known for being a bit of a joker and a bit of like, friend of the students, all sort of thing. And anyway, my friend and James and I, we used to have this little game that we'd play, because James and I had sometimes been boxing together, right? We'd go to my karate dojo, we'd put on some boxing gloves, and we'd have a little bit of a spar, right? And at school, we were in class together and in the same class for the music. And at some classes, what we'd do is we had this little game where we'd kind of put our fists up and you would see how close you could flick your fist into the other person's face without actually touching their face. So kind of like jabbing at their face, but we're not actually hitting their face. And you just feel the wind of their face. It was like a little funny thing we did, right? And we'd do it a lot together. And we hadn't seen each other all day. And we go to music class and we're doing this, and we don't realize that the teacher's walked in, this new guy, Mr. K, and he's told everyone to sit down, and we're still doing this, we haven't noticed. And he tells us, sit down, and maybe we didn't hear him again, but then we suddenly realize he's going, sit down, sit down. And so we sit down, right? And he goes, he points to me, come over here. And maybe it pissed him off because we hadn't sat down or something. I don't know why he chose, because I was the one doing the punching at James's face at the time. That's right. So he says, come up here. And he, in front of the whole class, right? I'm standing up there with this teacher, and he goes, think you're pretty fast, do you? And I've never met this teacher before in my life, okay? And I'm like, no, I don't know. And he says to me, do you think you can hit me before I hit you? I'm like, what the fuck? And then he kind of lunges like a little kind of flinch move. I duck and I punch him, I jab him in the stomach, and I wind him. Just because I thought he says to me, do you think you can hit me before I hit you? He makes a move, I duck and punch him in the stomach. And he clutches his stomach, and he's winded, and the whole class is just going, like Mr. K. And as he's getting his breath, he goes, go see the deputy principal and tell them you've just been sent there for striking a teacher. I go there, I go see Miss Francis, who was just, no one ever wanted to go to Miss Francis' office. She was a horrible lady. She yelled, I swear she ate children for breakfast. And she, and she licked her fingers afterwards. She hated children. She hated us. If you had to go see her for anything, she would yell at you, even if you were bringing her some good news. So I go in there, I knock on the door. Yes, what is it? Hi, I've just been sent over here for striking a teacher. She stands up and goes, what? And I go, yeah, over it. And I tell her the classroom. She goes, wait here. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm just going, I am in so much fucking trouble. I'm thinking about they're going to tell my parents. What am I going to tell my parents? Everything. And about 20 minutes later, she comes back in and she says, go and join the class. And that's it. That's it. Nothing is said ever again. I'm like, what the fuck? No one on the staff, no teacher, Mr. K, no one says anything about this again. And I just kind of forgot about it. And then years later, I think maybe about 5 years later, I think at a dinner I told my parents, it just came up. And they were like, what happened? You punched a teacher. And I told them what happened. And they were furious. They were like, that motherfucker, he just, they were saying, you deserved an apology. I can't believe we didn't get an apology. Who the fuck does he think he is? Saying that to a kid, he deserved getting punched in the stomach. And looking back, I'm like, yeah, why would you say that to a kid? Why would you challenge someone like that? I remember it happened. I remember him just saying that word. Did you think you can hit me before I hit you? And thinking what? And before I could really process it, he lunges at me. I duck, I punch him, and then that's it. Looking back, what a stupid thing to do. What did he think was going to happen? He lunged. He didn't throw a punch, but what did he think I was going to do? Just flinch back and then go, oh, you Mr. K, you got me. Oh, I'm not as fast as you, Mr. K. What did he think? What was the best case scenario in his mind? Anyway, That's the time I punched a teacher. Okay, so I think I stand behind it. All right, I stand behind. I think that was totally his fault. Yeah, I was a bad boy. I wish I'd gotten. I didn't even get any grade. It wasn't like, hey, there goes Harvey punches teachers, and girls being like, oh my god, he's the guy he's the bad boy that punches teachers. Oh god, I bet he spits in the face of authority, accidentally. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about that story. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time. Catch you later. Have a great week. Bye.
It's time to hop back with Hockey.